Hello, I'm Connor Lifson, and this is TABLEWORK, a TAPS podcast series where we interview the artists and theater makers behind our productions on what it takes to get their productions from the page to the stage. This episode features Stephanie Hunt, a lecturer of acting in TAPS, as well as an actor and director herself. Join us as she talks about her upcoming production of Anton Chekhov's Three Sisters in Madeline George's lively 2023 translation, which is part of the college program and is TAPS's fall main stage show. Three Sisters opens November 8th in Pigott Theater and runs for 2 weekends. Hi, Stephanie. I love talking about theater with you, and so I'm very glad to be able to be in conversation with you here on TABLEWORK. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here, Connor.
So I want to start off with a two-part question here. Part one is, can you tell us a little bit about Three Sisters, who wrote it, and all that jazz? And then the second part is why you chose this piece in particular.
So, Three Sisters is one of the four masterpiece plays that Anton Chekhov wrote, the master short story writer. And he wrote it in 1900, and it was first produced in 1901. It's a story about three sisters and their brother, the Prozorovs, and they live in a small city. We don't know exactly where the small city is, but it's not Moscow. And they're from a military family. Their father was a general, and their father died a year before the play starts. And so we see them in the living room talking and deciding what they're going to do with their futures. They're not sure what to do. They long to go back to Moscow. They grew up in Moscow. Their childhood happened in Moscow, and that's where their mother was. And they had this very rich cultural life, and they were educated to be in the city and in that milieu, and instead they're stuck in this small town or small city. And so the story unfolds over the next 3.5 years. We follow them from the youngest sister's birthday is the day that the party starts, or her name day, actually, in Russian culture. And we follow them over the next 3.5 years, how their lives unfold. And it's not just the sisters, but their whole group, the husband of the middle sister, and the wife of the brother, and the suitors to the younger sister, and just how they interact as they face growing up and dealing with how their dreams change, how they deal with not making it back to Moscow. So it's funny, and it's painful, and it's very recognizable, this play. And why did I choose this play? Um, I teach acting here. I'm a lecturer, and I teach acting, and I teach speaking voice, not singing voice, but voice. And I was talking with Michael Rao, and he said, "Well, it's time for you to direct." And I said, "Well, Chekhov. If I'm going to direct, I'm going to direct Chekhov. I want to direct Chekhov because he's a wonderful playwright for actors to work on, and I've directed The Cherry Orchard, and I've acted in it, and I've worked. I love Uncle Vanya and the Seagull, but Three Sisters has all these wonderful roles for actors in their 20s, and specifically women in their 20s, but it has great rich men's roles as well. So how wonderful to as a young actor to get to work on Chekhov. I can't think of anything better, uh, in terms of ensemble work, in terms of depth of characterization and relationship. Um, it's Ian McKellen calls Chekhov a friend to the actor. So like Shakespeare, once you've worked on Chekhov, it deepens you.
Hmm, that's so beautiful. What an amazing gift for the ensemble that you've been working with. I feels like the school year has only just begun, but you've actually been in rehearsal for quite some time already. I'm curious, what was it like to rehearse during the Stanford Arts Intensive this September before classes started, and thinking in mind about working with Chekhov specifically during that time.
Yeah, we're in week 4, and so we had the 3 weeks leading up to the start of the quarter. So we've been in rehearsal for about 6.5 weeks, and we have 2 more weeks before tech. Um, well, The arts intensive was a great gift. It's basically an arts camp, and it's intensive. So the students come and they live together in the same building, and they're all they need to do during this time period is come to rehearsal, practice, do classes. We watched films. We watched Vanya on 42nd Street. We watched Drive My Car, that incredible film, which is about Uncle Vanya. We did workshops in movement and ensemble and mask work. And we read the play in depth and really began to dig into the given circumstances, which, if you're not in theater, that's the situation that is laid out in the play. And the great thing about the arts intensive is the actors are not having to do piece sets overnight. They're not having to go to class. It's just their job to immerse themselves in the world of the art that we're doing and in the ensemble. So it really helped us build this family ensemble that is at the core of this play. And I can really feel the difference as we started the quarter, that we had that time. And I based it on Dr. Harry Elam he's done this about 6 times when he was directing in TAPS. A wonderful director. My first year here, I saw his production of Raisin in the Sun, and I said, "Your ensemble work is incredible." And someone said, "Well, that's because we lived together and ate meals together for 3 weeks and we got a head start on rehearsal." So I imitated his model. Um, and I really feel like it was indispensable, especially for a play like this. Three Sisters, it turns out, is a quarter longer than any of Chekhov's other four-act plays.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you're making great use of the time that you've had, and it sounds like such a kind of an amazing environment in which these actors that you're working with can do the kind of really rigorous work that you need to be able to do Chekhov well. So that's incredible.
We got to have a Russian feast. I went to Cinderella Bakery
Oh
and
my
brought
gosh!
borscht and pierogi and cherry Vareniki, and we got to pretend we were having a Russian feast, and we had a picnic with tablecloths, and it was delightful. So anyway, all kinds
Wow.
of cultural things to investigate.
So we're talking, as you said, you've got 2 more weeks of rehearsal before tech. And I'm curious, what are you most looking forward to about these final couple of weeks of rehearsal before you need to start adding in all these other elements? Like, what are you in particular working on these last couple of weeks?
Well, the show is staged, and so that means it's really, we know where the entrances and the exits are, and where the general areas are that people are, and some of the scenes are more rehearsed than others. So it's really diving into the moment to moment work with the actors. We've done a lot of moment to moment work, but getting deeper into that. And the wonderful thing about working with an ensemble over a period of time is that you build up trust. And so there's a chance now to deepen the character work, deepen the moment to moment work, and make these discoveries. I mean, with a play that's this rich, you just keep on making discoveries. um, I can understand why people do some of these great plays over and over again, because you're sort of never finished with them, because there's so much richness there. So anyway, it gives us a chance just to investigate the physical life, the intellectual life, the relationships, even the relationship to, what is it to make an entrance from a snowy place and anticipating a party, and things like that. Really rich acting work, basically.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really able to like dig into the details and all the minute details that make the world come alive in really exciting ways. Speaking of making the world come alive, without giving any spoilers away, are there any technical elements that you're particularly excited about with this show?
It's an incredible team. Cliff Carruthers is doing the sound design, and Christian Mejia is doing the lighting, and Becky Bedurta has designed these gorgeous costumes, and Nina Ball has done the set design, and all of they're all really beautiful. I mean, I think it's very exciting for the actors to wear these period costumes that are,
Mhm.
true to the 1900. and how do you move, and how does it change the way you sit in a chair? Um, I'm excited for all of it coming together, I think. I'm excited to see it, but I think it's quite exciting for the actors to move around in these exquisite costumes and let it change their sense of themselves and you know realize the characters.
So as you mentioned a few of their names, I know you're working with a gigantic team of designers and performers and technicians and stage managers, and we don't have time to talk about all of them. But theater is such a collaborative art form. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about a certain collaboration you've enjoyed on the process, or even just a particular moment of great collaboration that stands out to you.
Okay, and I realized when I was talking about the designers, I didn't include the props artisan, Christine Edwards, who's, the props are so important, and she's been hunting down just the right. We found a samovar, which is a tea.
Wow.
Yeah, a beautiful samovar. And so she's been working so hard for months, literally since July. So, um, favorite collaboration. I think this is one of my favorite questions because being part of an ensemble is one of the reasons why I chose this play. The idea that we are all of the performances are dependent on each other. So I'd say the ensemble of actors is just this really rich collaboration. Watching this group of people realize these characters. So I have three. There's that these just astonishing young actors who are Stanford students. Um, Matt Chapman, who is indispensable, who his title is movement and ensemble director. He did mask work with the actors, basically using their shoes as the basis of the character. And then we looked at artwork and physicalizing action. So the work that he's been doing with us has been incredible. And he's so observant, and the consciousness that he brings to just how does a body respond when it's listening, things like that. How do you sit in a chair when you're really listening and responding and questioning what someone's saying to you, and or finding them very interesting? Like, just how do you respond with your whole body, breathing and listening? And then the other collaboration I must mention is our dramaturg, a Russian. She teaches Russian in the Slavic department. She's writing her dissertation. Her name is Olga Ovcharskaya, and I've been meeting with her since last February. And she is a specialist in Chekhov and his early, what are called his early petty pieces, his early comic pieces, and how those early comic pieces, the events in those early comic pieces, show up in his short stories and his plays. And her rich knowledge of Russian literature, of Chekhov, of this play, has been indispensable. I've never had a shorter feeling 3 hour Zoom than with her. She and I have met for hours and hours, and I've just gone over characters, like why would they behave that way, or why did he include this detail? And she has answers, and not only that, she knows all these different productions and all these different interpretations of the same character, the same moment, the same event. It's been amazing. And so she's come and talked to the class, to the cast, to the about Three Sisters. And she also made a document detailing which short story of Chekhov's could relate to which character, so that the actors could do a deep dive into their characters through Chekhov's short stories. So we're in the process of that.
Oh my gosh, all of that sounds just so thrilling to be a part of. Um, and as the director, you're kind of like at the nexus of all of these different people working together. It must be such a exciting and challenging position to be in. But I don't know, it's just kind of incredible to hear about all of the whole wide range of methods that you're using with the actors and with your team. That you've got like detailed dramaturgical research and like mask work and sensory work that you're doing with the food. It just sounds like with this time that you've had and the community you've built, you've been able to approach this very long play from a bunch of different angles. And to me, that sounds like it's going to produce something kind of really magical to witness. So this piece is part of the college program, and literally thousands of Stanford students will be seeing it, including many who don't normally go to the theater. And so I'm curious, like, what excites you, and maybe what challenges do you have with this opportunity to share this play that's over 100 years old by Chekhov with the larger Stanford community?
Well, I think we have approximately 1,000 frosh or freshmen coming, so or assigned to come see the show. I think that when you go to university, it's a chance to be exposed to things you wouldn't otherwise be exposed to. And I remember seeing a Buñuel film when I was a freshman, and I had seen foreign films in high school, but this Buñuel film, which was surrealistic, just blew my mind. And I still remember it. I still remember the science hall where they had this film series. And I think that this is just that kind of thing to come see your fellow students doing a play that was written in 1900 with characters set in that time period and wearing the costumes and in the physical setting of what it would look like, a parlor and a dining room and a bedroom might look like in that time period, can be quite interesting. And the questions that the play asks are very current. What am I supposed to be doing with my life? And where do I need to go to do it? What place would enable me to do that? And what do I do with disappointment, either in myself or in other people? And how do I endure? And how do I be a good person? How do I just be a good person? And who am I supposed to fall in love with? Who's there for me? How do I find my mate? So, what is my meaning in life? And these characters are on the they're either on the brink of adulthood or they're heading into young adulthood. I mean, I can't imagine anything that's more present for a college audience. Now, a freshman audience, they've just come to school, and if they're not experienced seeing theater, I'd say put away your cell phone and listen and be prepared to be transported and surprised and keep an open mind. And it might even be funny. And it might even be recognizable because this is a family play. So it's not about nothing works perfectly in this family. There's disagreements and secrets and disappointments and triumphs and confessions. So I would just say keep an open mind. Um, and the length of it does require stamina. There's an intermission halfway through, but it's about 2.5 hours long. So that's about an hour longer than most movies now, at least. It's a kind of an older style of theater going. And the characters talk. They're really good conversationalists, when they're not running off having affairs and playing music or quoting each other or sort of um, you know, competing with each other. They're talking, and that's interesting. I want to say that this is something that apparently the Russian audiences would not say that they were going to see Three Sisters when they would go to see a production of Three Sisters. They'd say they were going to spend an evening with the Prozorovs.
Hmm.
So you might think about that, going to spend an evening with this family and their friends and lovers.
Well, that sounds like a really good time to me. um, Stephanie, is there anything else? I know we're wrapping up here, but is there anything else that we didn't get to discuss that you wanted to make sure that we got a chance to talk about here?
I'm just really thrilled to be doing this show with this cast in this time. Anton Chekhov was a doctor who actually he died of tuberculosis, and that's a whole his life is extraordinary. It's really extraordinary. He died the year before the first revolution, but of course there was the one of the characters Tuzenbach talks about a storm is brewing. I mean, it was anyone who was paying attention knew that there were going to be big changes in the culture. And I think that's interesting too, because we're doing a play about characters facing huge changes in their culture, in their country, and they don't know what it's going to look like, but they know something's coming and they know they need to do something. And I think that's pretty timely too, now that we're in election season and just seeing what's next. So
Hmm.
glad to be with this group of actors making art.
Well, I am so incredibly excited to see Three Sisters opening on November 8th, running for 2 weekends in Pigott Theater. More details are listed in the podcast description for anyone who'd like to snag a ticket. I know they're going fast. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for chatting with me today, and I cannot wait to see your work in a few weeks.
Thank you very much. This was delightful, Connor.